Happy Monday. This rack is a bit unusual. In an effort to keep it simple, there's some shots that I have to use extreme English, including extreme top and bottom, just on some of these shots, and it's just because of the layout of the ball. Normally, you don't want to use any English, but if you want to keep it simple and get the right position, you're usually stuck using some kind of English on almost every shot. But that's from the Buddy Hall School of playing pool, which is where I was born and raised. Yeah, I mean it's just from the layout of the balls, and it's just what the layout dictated. I mean, I could cut the cue ball loose on a few of these shots, but I'd be taking a big chance. And this is a good video for those who are struggling to go from good to great. Because usually what you're doing wrong is trying to do too much with the cue ball, and you're just moving the cue ball too much. So I'm going to demonstrate what the heck I'm talking about in the next few clips. Let's take a look at all 9 lines, and you can see here the 1, 2, 3, and 5 are down table, and the 4 ball's back up table. Now getting from the 3 to the 4 is not all that difficult. But getting from the 4 back down table on the 5 and then back up table on the 6, you start running into a few problems there, and this is what's calling for some of the extreme English on some of these shots. So let's focus on the 1, the 2, the 3, and getting the right position on the 4 as if that's all one thing and not 4 separate things. And if we start with the 1 ball, you can see there's not a whole lot you can do with it without risking scratching in that side, and you're best off not trying to get straight in on the 2 ball and just kind of hitting the stop shot on the 1 and taking what you get on the 2 and doing with it the best you can do to get the right position on that 3 ball to get back up table on the 4. Now before we go too far, let's look at the shot on the 2. And here's what we're going to have, and this is where the cue ball is going to hit that left-hand side route. Now, if you hit this ball with just center ball, you're going to wind up going behind that 9 and snookering yourself. So we know center ball is going to get us hooked behind the 9 ball, and here's where players go wrong. They'll automatically think, well, I have to do something crazy here, and what if I put right-hand English on it and spin it down to that bottom rail? Here's where the cue ball is going to hit the bottom rail. Now note how the angle off that first route greatly increases from this would be normal center ball, and this is right hand English, and that's the English doing its job. It's counterclockwise spin when you hit right hand English on it. And here is where it's going to come off that rail and go straight into the 3. And if you don't hit the 3, if you miraculously get around it and wind up on the right hand side of that 3 ball line, now you're going to be in real big trouble trying to get back up table on the 4 or the right shot on the 4. Also, if they get around that 3 ball, they're liable to go way back up table and through all that traffic, and now you're just asking for problems. So does any of this sound familiar? You see that center ball is not going to work, so you automatically think you have to do something extreme and crazy and risky, and you don't. What will left-hand English do on this 2 ball shot? So the angle is decreased off that first rail, and this would be normal center ball, and this would be left-hand English. And that's the English doing its job and grabbing that rail and killing that angle off the rail. And while we're barely avoiding the 9 ball, we are avoiding it. As long as you don't slam this ball, you'll be fine. And here's where we're going to wind up on the 3. And this is what's going to happen if you don't put any English on this shot. And that's because it's such a steep angle. And you're really risking screwing up on the 4 ball. You're not going to have a good shot on the 4 in order to get back on the 5. So we want to come up on the left-hand side of this 4 ball line so we can go down to that top rail and use this doorway between the 7 and the 8 to get right on the 5 to get back to the 6. So the whole key to all that is getting right on this 4-ball. So what do we have to put on this 3-ball in order to stay up under that 4-ball line? And it's just bottom, and that's going to increase the angle off the 3. And it's a little bit of right hand English, so when it hits that right hand side rail, it spins it a little bit back up table instead of crossing that 4-ball line and getting in bad shape. So let's go back to the video and shoot the 1, 2, 3 and see how we get on the 4-ball. I came up short of the 4-ball line, but I came a little bit too close to it, and that could have been a disaster, and I could have crossed that line or got on that line for a terrible shot on the 4 to get on the 5 and back on the 6. But we're staying with the plan and going down to the top rail to bounce off in between that 7 and 8. Now, if I don't put any English at all on this cue ball and just put a whole lot of top on it, this is what's going to happen. I don't want to come up right up behind that 7-ball for a total disaster. So to keep that from happening, I'm putting a whole lot of top on it because this is a really full hit, and it's going to take a lot of momentum to get down to that top rail. But I'm putting a hair of right hand English on it to avoid that 7-ball and to stick with the plan of not quite center table, but between that 7 and 8 on the lower side of that doorway. Now let's take a good look at this 5 to the 6, and you're basically playing into the line on the 6. The only thing is you want to get a whole lot higher than that line so you can have a right angle to use that top rail to get straight in on the 7. So on this 5-ball shot, it's a whole lot of left-hand English and a whole lot of draw, a whole lot of bottom. So you're just coming up, not to play exactly on the line, you want to be higher than the line, but the concept is the same. And again, from there, you're just bouncing off the bottom rail and trying your best to get straight in on that 7-ball line, and that'll make this a simple out. So now let's go back to the video and play it straight through up to the 7-ball. That stroke I put on that 5-ball was kind of ugly, but the cue ball did what it was supposed to do. So here we are shooting the 7. You can see I'm not exactly straight in. I got a little bit under that line and to the right side of it. So to keep this cue ball from getting away from me, I'm basically going for the same concept. I'm just going to stun it into the right position for that 8-ball, and I'll explain the right position in a moment. This is what we're kind of doing, and we're to do this, we're putting bottom right hand English, inside English on this 7. And this 8-ball is an interesting issue. You can play either side of this 9-ball, but if you go to the short side of the 9 and you don't hit it right, you hit it too soft, you're apt to get stuck on that rail. And on the other hand, if you hit it too hard, you could wind up on the 50-yard line in a really tough shot on the 9-ball. So why not just pull it back and get on the long side of the 9-ball, and you'll have plenty of room. Even if you come up a little short or go a little bit long, you'll be fine. Let's see what I do. You guys ready for the loop back? Yeah, let's go ahead and play the whole game start to finish without all this yakking. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you on Wednesday. Peace.